so.
Yep, I'm ready.
There we go.
Alright, go ahead and make mechanics checks.
Mechanics or pilot?
Pilot checks.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Alright. Those are decent. So, you manage, it doesn't take you very long. Except, Bezek, you have a little bit of trouble. It's a little bit unfamiliar to you.
My
but for the
speeder
most
is a
part,
little
you get
too
it.
big for me.
A little too big.
Yeah,
Little hard
that's
to reach.
what I was remembering the Ewok.
Ah!
He scoots up pretty far to reach the nose. But following Dakaya's lead, you managed to make some fairly good progress across the desert landscape. Different from those of you that know of Tatooine, it's not a dunes. There's huge jagged mountains that go up on either side. While the ground is covered in sand, it's more packed and it has a more grayish color to it. As the light begins to fade, you travel for probably 6-7 hours. The mountains start turning a reddish orange color, and you come across a little bit of a canyon, which Dakaya directs you towards, and she pulls up and stops her vehicle and turns it off and waits for you to all step down.
I do that.
Alan
Jack will get off and look around, see if he notices anything weird or dangerous.
Then I head over to the speeder. Start
Ellen-
looking at
yeah.
it and seeing if there's anything wrong with it. The big one.
Alan
Its general
will,
condition.
Okay, Alan will pull up and go ahead and hop off and say, and that concludes our tour of Korriban. Please, watch your step, as it can be a doozy.
Thank you for the fine convenience, Elon.
All right, Ajak. The canyon you're in, its stonework is not carved. It's definitely all natural. There's no, the sand just sort of gives way to a packed stonework that makes up the canyon. As far as danger, you're in the distance. You hear some howls, but it's pretty far off. You look around for sort of, I'm guessing, like traps and people and whatnot. There doesn't seem to be any sort of danger as far as civilization or mercenary or whatnot. This is where we should camp for the night. Will be a few more hours and it'll be dark very soon. Korriban's a dangerous place in the dark. You don't want to be out there going past night.
Ah, makes sense, Les.
Apparently we will be out a bit longer than we were anticipating, huh?
I told you, he lives far outside of Dresde. It's part of the reason, probably, that the Sith have not caught him yet.
Well, so how do we want to do watches?
You immediately see Kaz just go towards the big speeder and start inspecting it, lifting up the hood and the like.
Make a mechanics check. Okay. The vehicle, while a couple years old, is in fairly good condition. A little dirty on the inside of the engine, but all the bells and whistles seem to function the way that they need to. The fuel level, while it has to about it's lost about a quarter of its tank, but that's you know that they were topped off before you left, so that you still have a fair amount of fuel. As you rummage through the back, you manage to find a single field kit, which has all of the needs and makings for some sort of camp. There is tools for making fire, as well as one large tent, which could probably house about 4 people. Is there anything specific you were looking for?
Nope. Just future plans to avoid payment.
What?
My guy's a mechanic by trade.
Ajak, as you mentioned, watches Dakaya. You see her go to the back of her speeder and unpack something, and she looks to you, and I will stay up for the first watch.
As will I.
If someone sets up a fire or something, or a center of camp, you just see Pakaz plonk down there and enter into a force trance.
Well, I guess I'll take second.
I will also join Pakaz in a force trance.
Alright, looks like I'm with you, Jack. See you in a couple hours. And, Alan will, I guess, nestle down in the tent once it's up. Start sleeping so that he can wake up in a couple hours. Hopefully things don't happen badly like they did in another game.
Oh, just boulders will fall on top of us and crush us in our sleep. It'll be painless.
Well, me and any other force users are fully aware in our force trance if we're in a force trance, so.
Alright. So Dakaya directs you all to how to kind of create a campsite that'll be somewhat hidden from outside view, as there's very little cover. Even though you are in a canyon, it's a very short canyon and not too far out of it as the wide open space of Korriban. But with her help, you managed to create a what you feel to be a somewhat secure campsite. After you all go down to sleep, Dakaya walks up towards the edge of the camp, where she can kind of get a view towards Korriban, and you see she sits down, Kalani, cross-legged and with her eyes closed as she sits down in front.
I will take up a similar position nearby, but not in a force trance.
Okay. Anything you want to do, or are you just going to
Just keeping watch.
Okay, make a perception roll. You stay alert. Do you hear whistle of wind as it passes through the canyon? The sun goes down and it gets fairly dark. You see, and as it gets dark, you see the 7 moons of Korriban in different positions, moving across the sky. But you don't hear any danger or any trouble so far.
Suddenly a torrent attack.
So if there's nothing else you want to do, that will end your watch.
Now the question is, who's on second watch?
What?
Second. Yeah, second is...
Ajak and Aeland already volunteered.
Well, I think halfway through the night, because doesn't really need to be in a forced trance anymore, so.
Right. So your watch is over. Kalani wakes those of you who are taking a second watch up, and she and Dakaya both go to their respective sleeping areas. All right. If there's nothing you guys want to do, else you want to do, then you can go ahead and make perception checks.
Way to bail me out there.
You're welcome. Nat 20, by the way.
All right. As the two of you stand guard, Ajak, you're still a little tired, and so you're not quite as, your senses aren't quite as keen as Aeland's. However, Aeland, you immediately hear the sound of rustling going on towards the outside of the canyon, and you hear scuttling and a very low howl.
Oh joy.
Would I be able to know what that is, or?
You can make a life science check.
Great, I'm not trained in it. Natural 1.
Looks like breakfast is coming to us.
Better than I thought, that's for sure.
Okay. You're unable to identify the species, but that scuttling sound and the howls, that's usually attributed to pack-like animals.
Alright, Jack, get ready. We've got a little bit of a pack animal, of a pack heading towards us. Hopefully they'll pass us by, but they probably won't, seeing as we're pretty much dinner to go.
Are
I
you
might be able
within,
to scare him off.
are you within earshot of the center of the camp?
Probably not. You'd have to be really focused on listening. Because this is guard duty. We're probably on the outskirts of the camp itself.
Go ahead and make stalks.
Stealth? Okay.
Hold on a sec, I'm trying to find it.
I understand. It's buried in that nice little list.
There it goes.
Okay. You make yourself scarce and you wait for a few moments. And then a few more moments. You hear howling back and forth, like a message of some kind. But you stay still, and eventually the howling gets more distant and more distant. After that, the rest of the night passes on peacefully.
Well, you had me worried there.
All right. So as morning dawns, you all start stirring. I assume packing up your things and getting ready for the next day.
Yeah, he's just gonna take a look at his bike one more time because he had a thought of something that he should probably check for. He's gonna look to see if he can see if there's some sort of tracking device on it, like low jack.
Go ahead. You look for about 20 minutes as everyone's getting packed and ready to go. It's difficult, but eventually, right before you leave, you do find a small, just tiny device on the bottom of the speeder.
He's gonna go check the other bikes in this larger speeder for it too.
They also have device.
Hey guys, looks like these bikes have got some sort of tracking device on it. So,
Well, how else
Not
would
sure.
they issue bounties on us if they didn't know that the speeders were damaged or stolen?
yeah, making assumptions. I just wanted to see if that was accurate as to how they were going to track us. My concern is if someone is trying to follow us out of the city. Dakaya, how cooperative would he be to authorities?
If we disabled these, it would be more suspicious. All of a sudden, his trackers go dark.
Obviously, I don't know how things have changed all the way since I've been gone, but most of my life, if a citizen is in need, we'll send the soldiers after him to try and help them. We do have a semblance of law and order here. But I recommend you don't try and attract Sith attention. Our government is not quite as lenient. Their judgment is swift and without mercy, try to keep criminals from doing criminal activity.
Alan will chuckle to himself quietly.
Well, let's keep going then. No time to waste.
Right. You pack up your gear and make your way further. Another 5.5 hours through. You about the last hour, however, Takaya starts leading you through a little bit of a maze, through canyons, and then eventually it starts turning into ruins. There's pieces of pillar here and there, half of a wall, little bits of what used to be civilization of some kind. And she leads you through a little. It's hard even to keep track of because she'll go for a few minutes in one direction and then quickly turn to the left. And she keeps doing that for like the last 20-30 minutes of your journey before she finally stops just in the outskirts of what looks to be some sort of major ruin or excavation site. And at this point, this is where she stops her speeder and turns it off once again and waits for you all to do the same.
I do the same.
So, is the larger speeder like an open air thing, or is it enclosed?
It is enclosed around you, except over the top. There, it's like a convertible, and that is out in the open. So your bodies are exposed, but around, like, there's like railings where the doors are, and a little bit of a glass panel that just goes about halfway up to your heads.
So it's like a combination between like a land speeder and a skiff or something.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay.
Ellen will pull the jumbo speeder up and go ahead and park it. Have we reached our destination yet? Directed at Dakaya.
Yes. From here, we leave the speeders and continue on foot.
What's the terrain around look like?
Make a perception check.
Okay. Oh, that's actually good for once.
For the most part, the ground remains the same, but where Dresde was an industrialized city, and the dunes, the sort of dune area of Korriban was intermixed with mountainous and rock caverns. This place is different in that there is ruined pillars and walls and rubble. But the ground is got in certain places there is stonework of some kind. It makes a little path through some of it. It looks like at some point it may have been a road, but now it's just intermixed with sand and rubble. It's strange because the architecture, while it looks ancient and old, it also it doesn't look like it just fell. It looks more like something distorted, as there are pillars that are hacked off at an angle, and things that have fallen in strange patterns. For you, Kalani, however, the architecture is rather ominous, as you can tell just based on some of your knowledge of the Sith, that there are runes and certain things on the pillars and the walls that remind you briefly of things you read about in the Academy of Sith Architecture.
kind of shudder a bit.
I guess that it is fortunate that we have you to guide us, Dakaya, as you seem to have been able to navigate us here most deftly.
And seeing the broken building, Pakaz suddenly looks somewhat interested.
That is because I've been here before. Come. We shouldn't linger here.
Aelin will nod and follow.
Yeah, Ajax will be right behind him.
He follows closely next to Dakaya.
Alright. She leads you into a little, sort of knotted path. But once you clear, you see a giant pyramid-like building.
I know what this picture is. That's from North Korea.
It's the only building I could find that looked like what I was wanting.
It has a giant laser cannon on the top.
Pretty sure that's like a construction crane.
But it's Star Wars, that's a laser cannon. It's broken though. Or is it?
Okay. Didn't do what I wanted to do. Now it's there. Alright. So, yes, you see what to some of your trained eyes looks like some sort of laser cannon at the top. But for the most part, the building is separate. It is sort of on its own in a little bit of a clearing. However, as you get closer, you hear noises coming from within, and you see sort of a train of people coming in and out of the building. The building itself looks almost as ancient as the pillars and the rubble around you. In fact, it looks very similar in its construction. However, you can tell that there are bits that it's been refurbished to some degree, and there are pieces of it that look like they're still under construction.
The shudder gets more pronounced. Yikes.
You see Dakaya takes in a deep breath, and then she turns to you. So, if there's any questions you have before we go in here, now's the time to ask.
What is the plan?
Who are they?
They call themselves the Sun God. They are under the command of a man named Ramai Labu, but they call him the Gambler.
Why are we here?
A, because you asked for him. B, if there's anyone who knows how to get into the Sith Academy or the information we need, it will be him.
Because nods, and it says, and then whispers under his breath, I didn't ask for anyone.
I'm sorry, you said what?
And he whispers under his breath, I didn't ask for anyone.
Aelin will take a deep breath. So, is this Lorema your brother, or is he someone a little closer?
Her face turns a little red, and she
Kalani gives Aeland a strange and puzzled look.
we
Kaz is just standing there oblivious.
we attended the academy together. He calmed some of my more baser urges of the Force, and eventually he left the Sith Order after a few incidents. He calmed himself and realized that the Sith were, as he put it, did not understand the true meaning of combat and what it was to truly attain power. I did not agree with him, and I could not leave. For me, the Sith represents honor, and as you saw, there are those who are proud of my accomplishments. But I understood why he left. Later, he came back and he told me he'd found this place, that he'd turned it into something that would help people. No, he is not my brother, but we have grown closer than just friends.
Alright, I figured it was something like that. With the way you spoke, it was either gonna be the brother or something a little closer. Something like a friend. Just a little closer than a friend. I understand, lass. I did not mean to pry. I just wanted to confirm this before we go in and he says or does something that strikes people off guard or whatnot. And Aelin will kind of gaze at Kalani and say, just to make sure that we're not going to fall off our toes or something.
Kalani still has a puzzled look.
If we're going to put our cards all on the table, I cannot guarantee he will have a favorable opinion of the position I am in with you. He will undoubtedly try and make a deal that will be favorable towards us. However, he is, I guess, from your definition, the closest to good we have on this planet. What he is doing, it has made sure that the people that have overlooked, the people that the Sith treat like trash, are not forgotten, and that someone stands in their way. His sun god are honorable.
No worries, lass. You know where I stand with you, so I have no ill will towards you.
Very well. Then perhaps you won't think so badly when I tell you the rest. He will offer you a deal. It is the only way he learns to trust people. If you want my advice, you will take his deal, no matter how outlandish it sounds. The culture he grows up from believes very much in testing people to see who they truly are. He will not trust you, and he will think of you as an enemy until you do.
What sort of deal are you talking about?
More than likely, he will have you go through the book.
The what?
The box. You see that building behind me?
She's indicating the same building we're looking at here.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is called the Rajin Ishan Rotundra. It is a casino of sorts. All those manner of mercenaries and outsiders are welcome there to gamble and participate in all kinds of games. But when someone wishes to gain favor or ask for a favor from him personally, they have to prove themselves in the box. The box is something
Combat.
sort of. I cannot tell much because he will be offended if I do. What I can tell you is this. It will test you, the core of who you are. And based on that test, on how you prevail, he will decide whether he can trust you or he cannot.
Sounds fun.
Many people come simply to prove themselves in the box, not really to earn his favor, but to simply prove that they can go through it. I have never been through it myself, but I know that not everyone makes it through. But it is their choice. He does not force anyone to go through it.
Will all of us go through it individually or together?
It will be together. It won't really matter. It'll still test you all individually.
Well, your friend sounds like quite the interesting individual.
Yes. That he is.
Well, this should be interesting then.
When you are ready, allow me to lead the way. His guards recognize me. They will not harm you so long as I am leading you. But don't step out of line.
She glances at Nakaz.
Alright then, are you all ready? Sounds like it's time to meet the bigwig.
Yep, one step closer. Oh, I feel like the farther we get in, the more steps get put in our path. Let's move quick.
Nakaz is way ahead of you. He's right next to the guy, just waiting to go.
Alright, lass. Lead the way.
She nods, takes another breath, and then walks forward. Again, she keeps her head held high, but it's a little different and a little more reserved than it was before. You walk up to the building, and as you get closer, you can see that there are lights emanating from within of various colors. They all kind of, there's purples and blues, and they all kind of shimmer. But remarkably, they stay, you can't see them until you get fairly close to the building. There are people, as I said, coming in and out, and most of them give you a little bit of a look, but then kind of shrug it off, as their races of the people is rather diverse. Immediately, as you approach the doorway, two men dressed in not really much of a uniform, except that their chest piece, the chest piece armor that they're wearing is the same. And it has a white sun painted on it. At first, they stop you, but then upon seeing Takaya in front and her claim that you're friends, that you're her friends, hesitate but allow you passage through. Right. I don't actually have a picture for the inside, so this will have to do for now.
That's alright. I'll just imagine this one of the Streets of Rage inns or something.
There you go.
What?
One of the bars in Streets of Rage. This music is reminiscent of it.
No idea what you're talking about.
It's a video game from the 90s. A side-scrolling beat 'em up.
I had forgotten I had the master music volume level off.
AKA, it was a really good game when it was released. Alright, we can continue. Since I'm having my nostalgia trip. And I seem to be the only one.
I don't think I was really into that sort of game.
Alright. So you walk in and you see the inside is pretty much what you expect from looking at the outside. The architecture looks old, but it's quite strange with the contrasting new pieces of technology that are all about. That you see, some of you who've been in the underworld, you see slot machines and other gambling devices you are very familiar with that you've seen in other casino type places or even bars. There's laughter and screaming and yelling and cheering. As you make your way through, there is, at this sort of center of the pyramid, a large box. Right? And that's the only way you can really describe it. It looks kind of like a cube almost, with ornate detailing on all sides. Kalani, it looks similar to a holocron, except it doesn't glow and it's huge. There is light coming from the ceiling, and it's natural light that shines directly upon the box and all around of it. Dakaya leads you on the steps around the box and towards the front. And as you get towards the front, you see some people start turning their heads towards her. And eventually, right at the other side of the box is like a railway with a throne-like seat at the top. And you see you see this human man sitting on top of it. He has a few cards in his hand as he seems to be playing some sort of game with a Twi'lek, a male Twi'lek in black leathers, and he seems to be beating him because the Twi'lek has an angry look to his face, and it's just as you approach, you see him slam the cards on the table and utter some sort of, which to those of you who understand Twi'lek, a very nasty curse towards him as he gets up and leaves the table. The human just laughs laughs hard as he puts his cards down. He looks over and he sees Dakaya standing there, and you see him wave his hand to the crowd. It goes silent, and you see everyone stops what they're doing and they look towards you.
Oh, great.
Dakaya, I heard you were coming, but I didn't really believe it. Well, you know I wouldn't come without good reason. This is true. So, you want to introduce me to your newfound friends that you seem to be trancing all around Korriban with, or shall I just guess? Dakaya looks to you, Aeland. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Aelin will step forth and probably in the first time since he's gotten onto Korriban, he looks Remy right in the eyes and assumes full Republic military posture. Aelin Koeth, sir. It is a pleasure to meet you. I figure my stance will give me away, so just to make sure I'm no longer with them, but I do at least try to keep in touch with those who I have left, in, that I have left there. And he'll bow, bow deeply.
I'm Ajak Bjorn of the Bjorn clan of Mandalorians.
And Ajak will bow slightly. And that is all he says.
And I am Shayali of the Tia.
I am Kalani Starfire.
So, you're just Republicans after all, trying to disguise yourself here on Korriban. Well, that's a new one.
I figured honesty would be best with you, since you seem to be one of the goals we have set, or at least one of the people we need to see in order to achieve our goals. I figured it'd be best not to deceive you.
Your assumption is correct, especially since it seems you're holding Dakaya prisoner. I can't imagine she'd willingly travel with a bunch of Republicans and, from the looks of things, a Jedi or more.
Kalani is trying very hard not to have the deer in the headlights look. And probably failing.
Aelin will look at Dakaya and then look over back at Remy and will then say, "Sir, if you'd wish, after her task is done here, I see no reason to keep her. Prisoner or not, I say she's earned enough pardon already."
Really? Well, that's rather...
Because just says friend.
It gives you a frown as you interrupt him.
Well, I was saying that retroactively, like when he said the pardon thing.
Right. Well, that is certainly a story you're going to have to tell me, Dakaya. But, as she said, she wouldn't come here without a good reason. I imagine you guys are part of that reason, but I feel a lingering question wanting to be asked. Well, don't keep me waiting.
Well then, we seek a particular admiral, I believe it is, and we need to stop his assault on Thanai. The closer we achieve that goal, the closer it is that that Dakaya Hitter can go free.
Hmm. Yeah, I've heard about something of that sort. But whether you've earned the spirit, now that's a different story.
Because he's just looking at you all in a weird manner.
Well, with a name like Gambler, I figure you'd probably have a gambit for us to take care of.
The puns.
I see you've been talking to Dakaya. You aren't wrong. I do have a little bit of a gambit that I prefer my new form customers go through.
Also, if I do remember correctly, we would also like particular information from, for a particular friend of our Silkath here, of Shiloh. He was the one who directed us to you. Through the Force, you understand.
Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Perhaps you could explain or describe this friend you're looking for. Maybe I'll have the information.
And then we'll look over at Shiloh. Hopefully I didn't put you in hot water, but it's too late now.
Well, he is a rather large weapon.
You see he turns his head up and his eyes lock on you, which are a little strange as his eyes don't actually have like an iris color to them. They actually glow a red color.
Yeah, that is interesting.
He looks at you.
Mhm.
A whippet, you say? Not many of those travel, especially out here. I may know of one that came by. And if he had come by, I would have offered him the same deal that I'll offer you.
And then I would presume that you would wish us to fulfill this deal before we discuss this matter further.
He curls his face into a smile, not necessarily a chilling one, but more of mischievousness and seeing that you are finally getting what this place is all about. Yes, fulfill it, and I will answer. Let's see, how many are you? He counts. 5? I will answer 5 questions.
Aylin's eyebrow perk up at that sound, or that particular temptation.
Any 5 questions that I have a particular knowledge about, I will answer to my complete ability.
Well, then we look forward to completing your test and proving our trustworthiness.
But before we move on, I must have confirmation from each and every one of you. I never make anyone go through a deal that they haven't themselves agreed to.
I will go in the violent cube.
Well, if it's the only way to get the information we need to save a bunch of innocent people from getting blasted, I'm in for it.
I will play the game.
Uh, at the mention of that, Kalani kind of straightens her shoulders and gathers her strength and confidence. Determined look in her eye.
Takaya whispers to you, "You have to speak."
uh,
Pikai just looks really interested and
okay.
eager to go.
We will take your test.
Good, good. See, we're already starting to be friends. All right. Now, has Takaya explained some of the box to you?
Only that it is where you like to hold your games. Nothing on the particular trials of it, but that it would show our true selves, I believe is what she said. Or at least give you a glimpse into who we are. Which any game is going to do that.
Right then. Well, then he's already right where we need him, right, friends? And you hear a chuckle as they laugh along with him. Aye, the game will show you who you truly are. It does that by knowing yourselves, knowing the parts of you that you don't face on a regular basis. Now, the reason Takaya didn't tell you what the trials involved is because I don't know what they'll involve. That's different for each person that goes through the box. You'll all go in together and you can help each other on the trials. But be warned, the people you go in with will see every part of it. If you're afraid of some deep, dark secrets of your companions seeing, then you might want to think twice. But if you're confident that you can hold your own, then this should be no problem. However, I will say, we're not going to be the only ones in the box. You see, the box only lets someone out once they've finished their trial. You don't finish the trials, you don't get out. There's a few people that are already in there, testing themselves, made deals with me. Some of them have come out, and some of them have not. And you may encounter them on there. But who's to say which part is an illusion and which is a real person? That is part of the test as well. Make it through the box, I answer your questions. Stay in the box or die in the box. Well, you're not my problem anymore.
Well then, it sounds like a plan, unless you have anything else to explain to us.
No, I don't. Oh, there is one thing. Takaya stays here with me.
Oh, I figured.
Good. Then we're all on the same page. If you'd like to take an hour or so to rest and recover, you can do that before entering. But if you leave this facility, our deal is off and you will not be welcomed back. You understand.
Because it's already going over to the box.
Oh, of course, of course.
Because it's a box. You see no visible way in or out, but it has some very ornate details to it. There are pictographs and symbols and things that just look like nonsense, but are all very pleasing.
He looks really, really interested. He's just looking all over the box, examining it.
So, if there's any more questions, you can be on your way.
Well, I am rather curious as to the origins of this box.
He smiles even more. Then you best complete your journey now, huh?
Alan will double check his blaster real quick, sheath it back up, make sure it's functioning, or make sure the straps on it are good, feels good, and all this. Almost like a pre-fight warm-up. And then he'll walk over to Dakaya and say, "Your mother's cookies were good. Don't forget to tell her that, no matter what happens in there. Either I'll see you, or I won't. You take care, though."
She's a little surprised. You can definitely tell the look on her face is surprise when you say that. But after a moment, she nods at you and says, "You were kind to her. I will not forget that." And nods.
And we'll look over at the rest of the party. Alright, are we ready to go in, or do y'all need a few minutes?
I'll look down at the extra lightsaber, Dakaya's lightsaber, and wonder.
Do you let Elon see you do that, or?
I'm probably not particularly hiding it. Don't.
I wish I wasn't over at the box looking at it, but I
Lass, right now it's in your care. It belongs to Dakaya. But I leave that decision up to you. My vote is she deserves it. But it's one of those Jedi things, so I'll let you decide.
I'll take a deep breath and kind of look around at the others, thinking.
Well, on one hand, we're already pretty much at their mercy already.
What was that?
We're already pretty much submitting ourselves to be at their mercy by entering the box. So maybe there's not much more harm in giving her back her lightsaber. Although I also would hesitate to do so.
the person who would probably just take it and give it to her is not anywhere nearby.
Yep.
Well, he's nearby, but he's not within earshot. So
I'll look at Dakaya, sigh, and say, "Your mother seemed like a good woman. If you can be as good like her, then maybe you can do good with this lightsaber." And I'll hand it to her.
She takes it. She gives you a little bit of a long stare, and then she puts it away. She hesitates for a moment, but then says, "Don't mean to sound ungrateful, but you did steal both of my lightsabers, and I'm a little bit fond of the whip. If you have that, I would like that as well.
I am not the one who took that. Who has that?
I will sigh deeply and then take the whip out of my bandolier and give it to her.
She gives you a smile, takes it that too, and puts that on her belt. I never wanted to tell you guys because I was afraid of what would happen. And she reaches down and pulls out a blaster strapped to her leg that had been hidden under her boots the entire time. I just wanted to show you that I meant you no harm. You did what you said you would do, and you may end up helping my people. But I am not without honor.
I hope you can restore your
Because it's
tradition to
just
the way it
classic.
was.
She nods. In fact, she nods at you all. And she gives you one last glance before you see her walking up the side steps that lead up to the throne chair that the gambler is sitting on. She takes her place behind him. And they exchange a little bit of a look, but before anything, he turns back to you guys and, well, whenever you're ready, go on in. We'll be watching the show. And he waves to the crowd, and they all kind of giggle and go back to what they were doing. And that is where we will leave it for tonight.
Oh boy.
No!
I got a whole thing to plan, guys. A whole dungeon to do, so.
Good look on that one. The shadows
Oh,
of
I
each
look
of our
forward
minds.
to it.
Oh
It's going to
dear.
be interesting for Picard.
Oh dear. This is gonna be crazy, isn't it? You have us right where you want us there.
Considering what I suspect about the capabilities of the box, she can make Picard go full murder hobo.
Oh no. Oh no.
Of course. What would you expect from Remy LeBeau?
Honestly, he wasn't the inspiration. I was watching an episode of Andromeda, and they made the captain go through this thing, but they had like this gamble thing, and he was like, they were betting on how far the captain would get and stuff, and it just popped in my head. Oh, that would be a really cool character, a guy that like makes people go through things to get stuff, like sort of gambler. And then I was like, okay, I need a picture for a gambler. What's a good gambler? What? And I just kept going over and over, but I needed him to be sci-fi. And then I was like, Gambit, like the best gambler I can think of. And
Yep.
and then I just took off with that.
Oh no, that's all right. That's actually really good, really perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly
I
for
have no idea what the reference is.
oh yeah, for this
Did you
setting,
click on the
it's
link?
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gambit is a character from X-Men. He is, in particular, one who likes to gamble. He is also a thief and would probably be the head of the thieves had he not left their guild. His particular abilities allow him to charge objects with kinetic energy, creating mini bombs if he throws them at you. And one of his favorite things to throw are cards, but he can use other objects like your jacket and whatnot. And I'm going to stop geeking out right there, or at least stop the recording before I geek out anymore. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us in on YouTube.